We are back with more landlords. If you've had one and you haven't shared your story yet, the comment section is open. Feel free to do so. And I want to give a special shout out to the few people that I saw coming in and they were buying the original Sassy merch. I feel like I did you guys an injustice by not letting you know that on the website, every collection is going to remain. I think everything's there. It all should be there, like literally everything. Yeah. I'm like, I have to second guess, is the Dome collection there? Anyways, the original collection is still there. I'm gonna keep them up because I feel like we all just vibe with Stay Classy and Sassy and people might not vibe with the Y2K, you know what I mean? So stay tuned for more updates, jocebedard.com, and thank you guys, everyone who's ordered. I get to see some orders come in sometimes and I just like, I just try to remember the name in case I see them in the comments and I can personally thank you. But if that is you, just know I am personally thanking you and I love you. Cheers, hope you're having a good day. This landlord would randomly come into the apartment around 9 p.m. saying he came to take out the trash. He gave the spare keys to his father and cleaning lady. Both kept randomly coming inside without any notification. Ew. He also forgot to mention that the garage directly under my room was actually a workshop and he would work there in the early morning / late night. The final straw was when he came into my apartment at 8 a.m. on Saturday and brought his wife and small son to my absent roommate's room for several hours. What? To this day, I still wonder if he was a sociopath or just a complete a-hole. I'm sorry, but you should have put your freaking foot down. Okay, I would have said,
excuse me.
This is my house. I paid to live here. You cannot show up without 24-hour written notice, whatever your contract is. It could be different everywhere. And if they're not gonna listen, tenant board, ring-a-ling-ling, small claims court, not a chance. Ugh, some of y'all are just so nice. Maybe I'm a Karen. I moved into this new building close to the city center with a guy named Eric who I got on well with. I barely knew the landlords, but I got to meet them both separately within a few months. Once was an older gentleman, gray-haired and nice enough, but easily forgettable. And the other was a weird guy, a lot younger, obviously gay. I don't know why I read that from that like meme audio. Obviously gay, we knew him as Steven, okay. I feel like that was just unnecessary to add in there. Eric and I used to speculate about how on earth they met and bought a house together. One day, Steven decided he was moving in and then wanted the rent in cash, which I wasn't too sure about, but did as he asked. Turns out Steven hadn't told the other one about the cash rent situation, so we ended up having a bit of a ding-dong with the old guy, but it all worked out. What is a ding-dong? What is having a ding-dong with the old guy? Like an issue? So we didn't have to pay twice for the same month. One day, Steven was on at me to give him cash again, which I argued against. I was about 21 and wasn't keen on carrying 350 pounds in cash through town at night. He started shouting at me and then went very quiet and said, "You so fat."
You so fat.
And ugly. Cue eye roll. Cued. I moved out not long after, and a few years later, Steven, a friend for cash and chopped his body up and dumped him in his, no. So there's my murder nightmare landlord story. Oh my God. That is not where I saw this going. Oh my God. Moving in turns to murder. That should be a documentary. Moving in turns to murder. Ooh. Move in murder. Anyways, that is not, I am not trying to profit off your misadvertent.
That's wild.
That's terrifying. Terrifying. I watched my significant other give the landlord the $500 safety deposit at the beginning of the year, saw the bank statement that it was cashed, but somehow at the end of the year, the landlord said he never got it. How convenient. So he wasn't going to give my significant other the $500 back. Luckily, my significant other's mom was a lawyer and got the landlord to hand over the $500 pretty quickly since they had the lease agreement, check receipt, and bank statement, all providing he had received it. Yeah. Try to lie to me like you never got it. I've had that happen before actually. I think it was my very first place I got when I moved to Toronto when I was 20. And I gave the safety deposit and they went back and forth with me saying they never got it. And I was like, no, I got proof. And I did have proof. And then like, oh, we're so sorry. And it's like,
No, you're not.
you're sorry that you got busted and I had the receipts. But don't let people mess you around, okay? Hair check. Ew. Don't approve. Oh. Why? Is that hair? I can't even tell. Oh God, I think I have a sneeze. No. I refused. I had a landlord that was taking my rent money and then not paying the mortgage. Oh my God, sorry. My necklace just got caught on my incision tape. Oh, holy smokes. I don't think I should wear a necklace anymore. He did that for so long. Our place was foreclosed on and suddenly for sale. I figured this out one day when somebody hammered a for sale, foreclosed sign on my front yard. Oh my gosh. So literally they were just banking that money. Like they saw that as like, ooh, shopping spree, vacation. Oh my gosh. Terrible falling down house. Mouse infestation. Landlord heard somewhere that cat litter keeps rodents away. I entered the laundry room one day to discover 2 inches of scented cat litter everywhere. She didn't realize that it's used cat litter that keeps mice away, not clean scented stuff. It remained there for a year until we moved out. No. Same landlord attempted to drive to IKEA. Closest one was in New Jersey, about an hour away. She lived upstairs, and after a few days, I realized I hadn't seen her in a while. Turned out she got lost in New Jersey, couldn't find her way out after hours, and ended up just booking a hotel and staying for 2 days until someone came and got her. That's just a very random story to tell in this. She believed that the house was overrun by squirrels and would illegally enter our apartment to look for them. She also had all of the blooming trees, the only nice plants in the yard, cut down because of the squirrels. Still not sure what was going on there. Anytime I did anything she didn't like, she'd accuse me of letting squirrels into the house. Back in the laundry room, I overheard her teaching her son how to do laundry. She warned him to never ever mix bleach and ammonia because it makes a toxic gas. She then proved this by purposely mixing the two. They instantly started choking and gagging and abandoned the laundry room to run back upstairs. There are many more stories. It was a good day when we moved out. Yeah, this just seems very chaotic, and every little story you've told in this, just has me to believe, and not in a rude way, but she could be dealing with something mentally. I'm not even trying to be rude, but the whole squirrel thing and the obsession and the laundry, I just feel like maybe there's more. Maybe there's more there. My first apartment when I was 18 had a rat and roach problem. My landlord refused to fumigate or call an exterminator. Pretty sure that's illegal. Instead, he just showed up one day and started opening up the walls looking for pests. Oh yes, please, invite them in. Give them a doorway into my living space. That's what I want. I remember sleeping at night and I could hear the rats in the walls. I'd wake up in the morning and there would be drywall in the kitchen because the rats chewed through and got into the pantry. I refused to pay rent until he called an exterminator. After 6 weeks or so, he told me to move out and just up and change the locks, holding all the possessions hostage. Fortunately, I took him to small claims court and won. Thank you. That is what I like to hear because that is illegal. Definitely illegal. I actually had squirrels in my mom's, was it squirrels or raccoons? No, raccoons. It was squirrels. One of my mom's houses when we were younger, we had squirrels and we could hear them running through the walls. I remember following them. We thought it was fun. My parents did not think it was funny because obviously they had to deal with that. But I thought it was funny because I'd be listening and trying to follow them in the wall. And also, if you didn't hear the story last time, I also dealt with cockroaches in a unit that I lived in one time. Not fun. They also didn't do much for me. My landlord just gave me traps to put in cupboards and stuff like that. When I was living with an ex up in Massachusetts, that's so hard to say for me, Massachusetts, my landlord was this 90-year-old man named Fred who didn't care much about tenant laws. MA is one of those states that has some pretty strong laws, like one where you have to give a certain amount of notice to tenants before showing their apartment to potential buyers. Yeah, same over here. I've been in that situation. They had to give at least 24 hours notice and you had to approve. Like, they can't just show up if you don't say it's okay. Fred did not give a F and would bring people over with no notice and expect me to let them into my apartment when I was chilling on a Saturday afternoon. Once he came by, opened the door to my apartment and brought some people by while my girlfriend and I were having sexy time in the living room. Not cool, Fred. Oh my God. These people walk in there looking at their future home possibly, and you and your girlfriend getting it on the couch. That's mortifying. I, as the girlfriend, mortified. Traumatizing. Myself and two friends were moving into a house together. Before we moved in, the landlord wanted to meet us to sign the paperwork, etc. He set up a meeting for 3:30 at a Golden Corral about 25 miles away from the rental property. We were already pretty annoyed at having to take off work to be there and having to drive so far. One of my roommates is black and he showed up to the meeting about 10 minutes before myself and the other roommate did. He entered the restaurant, told the hostess he was looking for a table with Ward, which is the landlord's name, and was directed to the table. He introduced himself to the landlord and took a seat. The landlord immediately excused himself to go to the bathroom, then went and sat in his car until I showed up. When I did and saw him in the car, I had met with him previously, he was quite upset that we didn't all show up together and kept saying, was I just supposed to sit there with a person like that until you arrived? Okay. He then spent the rest of the meeting making thinly veiled racist comments towards my black roommate. Things like, are you moving from an apartment? I don't want you bringing roaches and gangs with you. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay, tell us you're racist without telling us you're a racist. That's terrible. Ugh, I wouldn't even want that to be my landlord, especially the black roommate. You think they want that as their landlord? Absolutely not. The disrespect. Bit of a backstory. My wife and I live with her bestie. Oh, that would be so fun. I would literally love to live with my best friend and her husband. That would just be a great time. Bestie bought the house we were renting together and everything changed. While rent was split equally, now we pay about 2/3 of her mortgage. Shared areas were no longer, wait, what? Okay, hold on. While rent was split equally, now we pay about 2/3 of her mortgage. Shared areas were no longer shared. They are now all hers, and if she isn't mad over something, we get to use them as long as we follow her rules. A while back, we got into an argument because she threw out some of my personal belongings because they were in her way. The argument was basically her house, her rules, I have no say, so suck it. We got past it, but this morning our pump for our septic blew. We need a plumber to come out and drain it, and we have to replace the pump. It was assumed my wife and I would pay half. I said no. She's the landlord, it's her house, her responsibility for the maintenance. My landlord is mad now because she's out over $1,000 and my wife thinks I'm the a-hole because I refuse to help pay. Note, there's something in writing we share maintenance there's nothing. No, there's nothing in writing saying we share maintenance responsibilities one way or the other, and there is another tenant whose rent supposedly goes into a savings account specifically for maintenance. So, am I the a-hole for basically using her own argument against her that she's the landlord, her house, her problem? Wow, this is interesting. The plot thickens. Maybe I don't want to live with my best friend and her husband because this feels like it could ruin friendships and just get really messy. Y'all should have had an agreement in place. Y'all should have had that from the start because things get messy. Same thing with like mixing work with friends. It can get really sticky. If you are the landlord and you have that agreement, you're the landlord, it's your house and you've chosen to rent out rooms to these other tenants, then technically it is your responsibility. It would only make sense if you had an agreement that, everyone would be responsible for those things like that. But really, you're paying 2/3 of the mortgage and you don't even have shared space. Like, I feel like there's a lot of issues going on. There's a lot of boundaries that are like confusing they're not clear enough. I think you all have a lot of things to work out, but I'm curious what you guys think and if they should have to pay half of that. Let me know what you think. My computer lighting just went totally down. What the hell is that? Oh my God. That scared the absolute. My necklace moved on my back and I was like, ah! I thought it was a spider. I had to move in a hurry, so I took the first available flat I could find. Oh no. Really regret it now. Here's a brief list of all the stuff my landlord did in that time. Sent his brother to do the initial viewing and negotiating. When I accepted and started to move in, the landlord finally showed up and quoted a much higher price for the rent. I was screwed at this point, so couldn't do anything about it. Refused to produce a tenancy agreement until I withheld rent. So many illegal things. Said tenancy agreement clearly stated that payment included all bills. Example, landlord would collect rent and bill money together as a lump sum. This will be important later. Would routinely enter my flat and rummage through my stuff. What? Illegal, creepy. I later discovered that a silver pocket watch my mom bought for my 18th birthday was missing. Thief. Entered the house every day and stole the mail before anyone could read it. When told the house was totally infested with rats and cockroaches, said that this is normal in India. This isn't India, pal. Turned up every other week to collect money for additional bills, would not specify what these bills were or provided a breakdown of what each tenant owed. When I refused, he changed the locks until I paid. And the crowning glory of this walking sack of poo, didn't pay the council tax. There are so many illegal things. He was just like messing you around, hoping you would just comply with all his rules and this. I ain't paying nobody. No chance. I'll call the police. I would literally call the police in a heartbeat. If he showed up there demanding money, change the lock, call the police. Can't do that. Can't do that. I lived in a basement/garden studio apartment in DC for 1 year. During that year, the window AC unit came out of the window. The security bars were never replaced, leaving a hole. The drains for rain in the front and back of the house were clogged and routinely flooded when it rained. The dryer was not vented, so the water from the drying process would be dispersed into the apartment. This could have been fixed with a condenser dryer like I have now. Okay, so basically, no maintenance has been done at this place. The unit wasn't properly ventilated, so when it would get hot and humid, which is mostly all of June to September, the ceiling would rain and the walls would sweat.
Mold.
Somewhere, rats would enter the foundation/house and find their way to the water closet. Ew, and die. And it was with the water heater and HVAC units. The landlord would hum and hoe over finding someone to find and fix the rats' entry points, but never did. The same water closet with the dead rats, ew, which I cleaned out. I removed 8 rats over the course of a year, had moldy walls. Keep in mind that this was the HVAC air intake area. As I only met the landlord one time in real life, I emailed her each of these things, no follow-up whatsoever. On a good note, when the toilet broke, it was fixed in under 24 hours. This is the only time I ever saw her. I was never so glad to leave a place. You know, some people just shouldn't be landlords. I think people just sign up to be a landlord, like, ooh, make some extra money maybe, cool opportunity, great investment, and then they actually don't want to do the things that you have to do legally as the landlord. Yeah, because it's busy, I'm sure. I'm sure it's a full-time job sometimes. Yeah, that's disgusting and so illegal. I actually have it in my contract, my lease agreement. They have to answer you. When it's a maintenance issue, if they do not respond within a certain amount of time, or it has to be fixed within a certain amount of days, breaking the agreement. So, because I've had issues with that with past landlords, you know, not answering, not dealing with the issue, and 3 months goes by. No. Look at your lease agreement, call the tenant board. Everywhere is different, I know, but there's actually a lot of laws that you just might not even know. 80-year-old landlady. I need a sip. Came into my locked apartment uninvited the day I moved in and screamed at me for being naked in my own bathroom. Make it make sense. Regularly took my laundry off the clothesline and dumped it on the ground so that she could use the clothesline instead. It happened so often that I bought a clothes dryer so I wouldn't have to use the line. Would come into the apartment when I wasn't home and reorganize the furniture on multiple occasions. Called me putana, Greek for every day I lived there. What a sweet lady. Tried to kick my dying dog in the stitches in his face after he had an operation, then tried to fight me. Like an 80-year-old woman, like throwing hands at you, fight you. Then I called the police and she called the female police officer a putana too. pelted garbage at my boyfriend when he came to help me move out until the police were called again. Okay, yeah, so there's a lot of issues going on. There was no hope for friendship between you two, a resolution. I feel like you couldn't have done anything and she would have just hated you and hated everything you did. That's the vibe I'm getting. So, all right, y'all, if you got some landlord stories or tenant stories about your crappy landlord, well, that's exactly what I'm talking about, because I'm assuming you're not a crappy landlord and you're like, hey, I'm the worst landlord ever. Anyways, Joce, go have another coffee. I'm out here. Stay classy out there, stay sassy, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.